From the farmers and ranchers of Farm Bureau, this is Farm Weekend. Farmers and ranchers received welcome news from the Environmental Protection Agency this week. Chad Smith has more.
The Environmental Protection Agency recently announced moves to begin to clarify the waters of the U.S. rule. Courtney Briggs, Senior Director of Government Affairs for the American Farm Bureau Federation, says her organization greatly appreciates the news.
WOTUS has always been a troubling issue for our members, and the regulatory landscape became even more confusing under the Biden administration's rulemaking. So yesterday's announcement really was the first important step towards creating a rulemaking that faithfully complies with the Sackett decision.
Briggs says farmers and ranchers have been waiting for updated guidance for nearly 2 years since the Supreme Court decision in Sackett versus the EPA.
This announcement is going to redo the WOTUS rule in order to bring it in line with Sackett. Unfortunately, the Biden administration really failed to provide that clarity that directly linked their rulemaking to Sackett. Its shortcomings really revolved around the lack of definitions for important linchpin terms.
She said this update provided some much-needed course correction on a WOTUS rule that had become overreaching.
It's really less about water and water quality. It's more about land rights and the ability to use your land without having to ask the federal government for permission. So it's a difficult task to write a WOTUS rule, but I think they're going to inject a lot of clarity and certainty, and our members, farmers and ranchers throughout this country should be excited about this new announcement.
Learn more at fb.org/news. Chad Smith, Washington.
Advocacy after hours and signs of spring. More on that when Farm Weekend returns.
With Kansas Farm Bureau health plans, you'll find affordable Medicare supplement coverage that helps cover certain out-of-pocket expenses Medicare doesn't cover. We encourage you to compare our rates. Contact a Farm Bureau financial services agent near you or visit kfbhealthplans.com. Medicare supplements insured by Members Health Insurance Company, Columbia, Tennessee. Not connected with or endorsed by the U.S. or state government.
Join Kansas Farm Bureau for an Advocacy After Hours webinar on March 20th from 6 to 7 p.m. to discuss the recent impacts of government changes on farming and ranching. Learn how Farm Bureau is standing up for its members and ways you can make your voice heard. This event is for Farm Bureau members in Kansas and will require your membership number to register. Protein is a key quality factor in wheat, influencing both baking performance and market value. While protein premiums exist, many farmers miss out on them because elevators often do not share protein data or compensate accordingly. Kansas Farm Bureau's Wheat Advisory Committee is addressing this issue by advocating for policies that require grain merchandisers to measure and report wheat protein levels at delivery. Providing this data would empower farmers to make informed decisions about storage, marketing, and potential premiums, ultimately benefiting both producers and the overall quality of Kansas wheat. Learn more at www.kfb.org. Next, Insight with Greg Deering.
Frustrated with your current healthcare coverage? Kansans are saving up to 60% a month with Kansas Farm Bureau health plans. Choose from individual and family plans, short-term coverage, or dental and vision plans. It's quality coverage you can afford. Learn more and get a free quote by visiting kfbhealthplans.com or visiting a Farm Bureau financial services agent near you.
Now, Insight with Greg Deering.
A gust of wind sent a blizzard of white flakes past the picture window in my living room last weekend. The wall of white wasn't snow, rather the fluttering petals from the blooming Callery pear in the front yard. Once a popular landscaping tree, it's now considered an invasive species because it has spread far beyond its typical urban environment. I've already spotted a couple of plumes of white smoke on the horizon, and I know there will be many more on the calmer days ahead as ranchers burn their pastures ahead of grazing season. These fires speed the breakdown of dead plant material and release essential nutrients. The periodic burning of grasslands also controls the encroachment of invasive species like the Callery pears or eastern red cedars. Prairies have evolved to need fire, and without it, the landscape would quickly be transformed into a scrub forest. Initially sparked by lightning strikes, mankind soon discovered the value of fire. Native Americans were the first to use prescribed burns to attract bison. Black patches will soon dot the prairie, followed by a carpet of green grass reaching out through the ash and soot. Smoke billowing on the horizon is yet another sign of spring in Kansas.
Join us next weekend for another edition of Farm Weekend from Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture.